Good morning, dolls, and welcome to Little Gretchen's workshop. So, dolls, this is honestly the moment I've been waiting for the entire month. Food prep for the Rooming House Dollhouse celebration for the channel reaching 1,000 subscribers. Now, I am doing something a little tedious here. I'm preparing my small baked chicken. Now, I'm just using a pen trying to add a little texture to the chicken. No actual chickens have been hurt in this video. This is a miniature polymer clay chicken, so there's no injury, no harm, no foul. Literally, no foul. And so I'm working on the little chicken, trying to give it texture to make it look like the skin of an actual raw chicken. And I'm going to use that texture just to make it look as though it is actually cooked. So I've got it kind of on a wooden skewer where it'll make it easy for me to decorate it. So that's my way, dolls. At another video, I'll show you how I actually make my chicken, but due to our time limitation, I can't show you exactly how I made each and everything in this video. I'm just more or less giving you an overview of my food prep for the party. So here, dolls, I'm just checking to make sure my little chicken will fit on my platter, and that platter is actually an eyeshadow compact inside. I broke the compact and took the little metal part out. Now this is a little ham, a polymer clay ham that I made, and I'm actually just trying to texturize it to make the meat portion look as though, it has texture like a sliced ham would look. Again, I will show you, dolls, how to make this little ham in another video. Again, for the sake of time, I'm just kind of giving you an overview of how I decorated it and prepped it for the party. And I'm just using a straight pen to kind of add some texture to it. Now, I do actually have another tool that I use to do this, but in this instance, I'm showing you, dolls, what I used before I had my special tools. Now here I definitely need to slice some of the pieces of the ham because I do need a little bit more of the bone to be exposed, and I do actually need some sliced pieces of ham to lay on a plate or a platter on the table as a part of my display. So I'm just using my knife to just slice some really, really thin pieces of ham. So I kind of am doing a dual purpose, trimming very thin slices and exposing the bone a little bit more for my ham. And again, dolls, be very careful when you're doing this. The bone in my ham is actually pre-baked, so it is actually already solid, unlike the rest of the body of the ham. So I'm gently trying to slice the uncut portions with my craft knife. Now here is my little wire brush tool that I use to try to texture the ham some more now that I've sliced off some of the textured pieces. And if you can kind of look closely, you can kind of see I'm trying to press it back a little bit to expose that ham bone just a little bit. And you see I used multiple colors of polymer clay to give it a real hammy effect. In this area, I'm just kind of swiping it along the edge where I've created the little fat pockets in between the meat, and just pressing it down, like I said, to expose a little bit more of the bone so that it'll just give it a little bit more realism. Now here in this frame, dolls, I'm being a little random in this video, so I'm just allowing you to watch me the way my mind works when I'm creating. So I went from making a little baked chicken to a ham, and now I'm making sweet potatoes. So yeah, dolls, sometimes when you're creating, your mind and your thoughts and your ideas are all over the place. So I'm just allowing you to see this so you'll see how I create. And sometimes everything doesn't go together, but when it comes together in the end, it'll all make sense. So I was just making some little sweet potatoes. I have some clay that I mixed with some orange and some yellow and brown to get this nice pretty orange color. Not a bright orange, but a sweet potato orange. And I'm kind of swiping the sides of it to give it a little texture, the kind of texture that sweet potatoes have. And the potatoes I was used to seeing kind of had points on the end. These are some older ones I made years ago. But I wanted to make new ones to lay around on the table in the food prep area because the dolls are making sweet potato pies for the party. And so I continued to add texture and kind of pinch them on the ends, just to give them some irregular shaping like I'm used to potatoes looking. And in the midst of making the sweet potatoes, I got an idea to make a few of the white potatoes. Some of you dolls had asked me about that in a few of the comments previously, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to just show you. Now, I just had some clay, kind of the same color that I use for my cooking dough. And I have this little tool that I made like a little arrow on the tip of it. And I use it to make the little indentions in my potatoes. And you just kind of puncture them a little bit randomly all around the piece. And the piece that you're making your potato out of, just kind of make it in an irregular egg shape. No doubt, we all know that a potato is bigger than an egg, but I mean the overall shape would be similar to an egg. And just kind of shape it around and use your imagination, or if you need to, just have a potato or a few potatoes nearby as your inspiration or to just kind of help you stay on track with your shape and your design. Now this potato looks really nice and neat and clean and perfect, but by the time I paint it, stain it, and add shadow and shading to it, it's going to look great. And so I just made a couple of those because we definitely need a few potatoes around because we're making potato salad for the celebration. So these are items that I want laying around on the table as evidence that we made all of our items for the party fresh. Now, dolls, if you haven't seen the original Dollhouse tour, definitely check it out in my playlist. This is the cake that was on the dining room table in the original Dollhouse. And I started to think about that little glass cake container, and I decided I need that for the rooming house party. Now, I stopped looking at the cake and decided that I needed more ham for the table display. So I decided to make a small ham to use just for slicing. So dolls, you see I have multiple shades of pink clay, and some of the clay has a little bit more brown in it than others because you know a lot of time when you see ham, it has more than one shade within the ham slice. So I was trying to represent that in my clay. And then I have some translucent clay that I've mixed with a little bit of yellow and pink to represent the fat, and I'm laying it in between the pinkish brown pieces. So this is kind of giving you a beginning view of how I create my ham or my meat pieces. And this is very random and irregular. I really wasn't trying to be very realistic. I just need this particular piece of clay to represent sliced meat. And I'm adding extra fat around the edges so that it'll give as much realism as possible when I begin to do my slices. Now you dolls can see how I did that marbling to create the look of ham slices. So here, dolls, I'm being very careful and cutting really, really thin pieces of the ham because I want these to be laying on a platter or a plate on the buffet or serving table. Now here I'm adding more texture to the sliced pieces. Now you saw me add the texture to the face of the ham slice, but here I'm adding the texture to the sliced pieces. And I'll definitely remember to make sure these pieces of ham shine. Okay, so enough of that ham. So now, dolls, I'm rolling out dough for my pies. Now, dolls, I have more than one way that I make pie. I don't really drink pop, dolls, but my aunt made sure she saved me some bottle caps for my dollhouse pies. I'm really grateful that she did because they came in handy at the perfect time. So I'm just using a large ball stylus to press the clay into the bottle cap. And I'm rolling out another piece to make an additional one. So altogether, I do believe I made three. Well, you know, dolls, I made 2 pie plates, and then little Gretchen wanted to assist. So this is my way. I roll out the dough and I gently press it in with my ball stylus to kind of shape it into the pie plate. And that's my way, dolls. So in this frame, I'm going to allow little Gretchen to do it her way. I really wanted her to roll out the whole dough, whole amount for the pie plate, but I'm going to just let her do it her way. Okay, it's a little bit uneven, Gretchen. I think maybe, okay. You're just going to smash it. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you definitely can do that. Okay, well, I know, but maybe, okay, I'm going to leave you alone. I'm going to let you do it your way. So dolls, this is more or less just to show you there's more than one way to do it. Don't ever really let anybody tell you your way is the wrong way. It's just different. And in the end, many times you'll get the same result, as Gretchen is going to prove to me here. Now she's just more or less smashing the pieces, small pieces of clay in to the pie plate. Now I'm concerned about whether she's going to make it even or not, but I really can't tell her that this way is wrong. So I want you dolls to be encouraged that if you develop a way that's different than what you see here on the channel with me doing anything that I do, different does not mean wrong. It just means different. And I'm really tickled that she's doing it her way, and she's really ending up with a nice result, even though that it's different from what I originally did. So I let little Gretchen finish her little pie pan. So let's hold it next to the one I made. They're actually very similar. So I'm going to go ahead and bake hers, and we're going to go ahead and fill those pie pans. So dolls, I guess you'll say today I was on a whole potato kick. So now I'm just going to make a few red skin potatoes. I was looking at that clay that I made up for the ham, and it kind of reminded me of red skin potatoes. So I'd already made some white potatoes, and I'd already made sweet potatoes. So let's just round it off with some little red skin potatoes. Now these I do in more of a round shape. I don't do them in the big egg shape like the white potatoes. And I'm just making a few for display in the food prep room. There we go. Okay, so dolls, in the midst of all this food prep, I realized I needed some more servers or serving trays, plates, bowls, and things to go on the buffet. And I needed something and I needed it quick. So I realized I had some of these closures to the tops of my coconut milk. I buy coconut milk that comes in the paper containers or the paper boxes or whatever you call it. But anyway, they have these little caps that are inside the screw top. And so I removed those, and I've used them in other instances, even as lids on pots and pans, dolls. So I just trim off that little ring part, and then you're left with a part that looks like a plate or what I would consider a little serving bowl. And although I really, really love the shape of it, I need to kind of tweak it a little bit. But I'll decide what to do shortly. Let me make these cake layers. So I rolled out some brown clay and cut them with a little funnel tool that I have to make the layers for my chocolate cake. Now, dolls, you know I love chocolate, so I'm making sure that these are shaped properly for my layer cake. Okay, so 3 layers for my layer cake are ready to bake, and I can move on to my next step. Green beans. Now, dolls, I don't know how my thoughts are flowing, but this is how it's happening. So I had some green clay and I rolled it out into tiny, tiny, little thin green snakes. I'm going to bake them long and then I'll chop them down smaller to create the dish that I'm making for the party. But this is how I make my green beans for bowls and platters and for jars, dolls. And so I needed some yellow clay because I'm actually going to make potato salad. Now, some people might say, why are you cutting up yellow clay if you're making potato salad? Well, dolls, when I was growing up, potato salad at our house always had lots of mustard in it. And so, therefore, potato salad was yellow. So, I have to cut up yellow clay to create the basis of my potato salad. So, I'm just cutting large chunks together like that, and then I'm going to bake them, and I will chop them after these pieces are baked. And a fruit tart custard ready to be baked. And here we are with our macaroni and cheese pan. Now, dolls, I got this in a little haul from Hobby Lobby. I got a couple items I thought I needed for the party, like a picture of iced tea with lemon. You always have to have iced tea at a party, dolls. And here's a couple glasses with the iced tea in them. And there was also a little first aid box. I thought that was cute. It's actually metal. I will need to fill it with some things, but I just thought it was the perfect thing to have at a house during a party. A first aid kit. So dolls, the little pink tray, I really like it a lot, but I'm going to turn it into a casserole dish. It definitely is the right shape and the right size for a big pan of macaroni and cheese. So let me move these other things out of the way and get it modified. So my idea is that it will be white with maybe some blue trim around it. So this paint that I'm using is the Tester's enamel paint, the same company that makes the silver metallic color that I use for my pots and pans. In the set that I have, it has a white color, so that's what I'm using. So I just have the pan taped down to a piece of masking tape to make it easy for me to paint it without touching it and getting the enamel all over my hands. Now, dolls, I did give it a really nice, generous coat of that white enamel, and I definitely allowed it to dry overnight before I did any other decorating. Now, I did end up using the Tester silver for those little white caps that I cut off of the milk cartons. And I'm going to do the inside silver and the outside silver. So I think when they're filled with food, they'll be perfect serving dishes. Now, after the inside of the bowls dried, I flipped them over and taped them with masking tape to the sticky side so I could paint the bottom of the bowl. And to me, adding the silver really gives the bowls a lot more realism because they really do look like milk carton caps if you don't paint them. They do to me anyway. But they're just the perfect size and shape to be nice little serving bowls on the buffet. A quick, easy way to have additional serving bowls. Now, dolls, among my things, I found a little square pan that was left over from when I did my video where I made pots and pans from trash. Now, if you haven't seen that video, definitely check that out in my Trash to Treasure series. Now, when I was a little girl, green beans or probably any type of green vegetable was cooked with some sort of meat, some sort of smoked meat, whether it be turkey, turkey tails, turkey wings, or pork. One way or another, there was meat in them. And so those little pink pieces are small pieces of meat. And I'm tucking the beans in as tightly as possible because I want there to be plenty of green beans for the guests at the party. Now, dolls, I'm really filling up this container and packing it in really good. Now, keep in mind, I'm still trying to be mindful that I do need to leave room to add a spoon at the end. Now, you don't see it here, dolls, but I did stir the beans around quite a bit to make sure they have an even coat of the craft glaze. I don't mind if it pools a little bit, but I don't want the green beans to look as though they're floating because that wouldn't look very appetizing. So I'm going to allow that to dry. I'm sorry, dolls. I set the green beans aside and forgot to put in the spoon. So now when it comes to adding a spoon to your food dishes, dolls, please don't use any of your good spoons. Keep those for display. Take a wooden stick or anything that would look like a cute handle and round off the end so that it won't have sharp edges because you don't want your dolls hurting their hands. And then stick it into the corner of your dish. It'll dry in place. And now this stick actually is just like a wooden stick or piece of toothpick. I'm allow it to dry, and then I'm going to stain it. It actually would have been a good idea to stain it before I put it in, but I didn't, dolls, but it worked out fine. Now you do have to insert it deep enough so that it won't pop out after everything is dry. I think I made this spoon a little bit short, but it's fine. It's going to work out, dolls. Then I just crowded a few of the beans around the handle of the spoon and allowed it to dry. So a while back, dolls, I got a request to make some black-eyed peas. And so I thought this was the perfect opportunity to have black-eyed peas at the party because it will definitely go with the rest of the menu. So what I did, I took some wheat-colored clay and made some little small irregular peas. Now, in order to keep me from having to make so many peas, I pre-filled the bottom of the bowl I was using with another neutral colored clay and baked it right into the bowl. And now I added glue and I'm putting my little irregular shaped peas into the bowl. And I'm going to continue to fill the bowl until the neutral colored filler clay is all covered. And dolls, I call my black-eyed peas irregular because they're very similar to my blueberries that I made in the biscuits video. I just roll out some little pieces. They're not perfect, but they're actually going to look really, really cute when I get done. Now, although I made my green beans flat on the top, my black-eyed peas I'm going to create sort of like a mound. I'm going to make them like a little hill inside the bowl. I think that looks more interesting than just the flat top. So here I am, dolls, creating the potato salad, just chopping up those big pieces of polymer clay, but I accidentally deleted the rest of the footage, but I did mix it with craft glaze and put it in a bowl. I also added green peppers, regular pepper, and paprika. Now, dolls, here's the chocolate layer cake that I made with those layers in the earlier portion of the video. I have iced it already, and I will show you how I did that in a later video. Here are my potatoes all baked and ready to be dirtied up. They look really pretty. Now, dolls, you know potatoes grow underground, so they definitely wouldn't be that clean and bright. At least I've never seen them that way. I am adding a little extra texture to the sweet potatoes so the dirt will have somewhere to go. Now, dolls, if you choose to use this process, be very careful and cautious of your fingers. I'm just doing slight little slashes in the sweet potatoes. Now, the white potatoes and the red skin potatoes do have the little dimples I created. Now, dolls, after I added the texture, I realized there was a perfect opportunity to allow little Gretchen to help me so I could work on something else. So I gave her the watered down black first and then the watered down brown. And I think she did a great job. I love the layered effect when I'm trying to age or distress even food to give it layered tones. I think it looks a lot more natural that way. So here the sweet potatoes are cooked and chopped and ready for display. Now I added craft glaze to be my brown sugar syrup that should be at the bottom of the candied sweet potatoes, but I should have added some yellow and brown acrylic paint to kind of stain the craft glaze, but I didn't, dolls. I stirred it in because I decided it would just dry clear and I could paint over it in the end. So I just continued to add my sweet potatoes and pack them in as firmly as I could because I wanted it to be a nice firm pan and to do it the same way that I had done the green beans. So I'm pushing them around to make sure all the sweet potatoes are coated with the craft glaze so they be shiny and look as though there was brown sugar and butter all baked into them really nicely. And I was beginning to make a little butter and I realized that this was the same clay that I used for the potato salad and it was too yellow. So I found a lighter piece of clay to look like butter because, dolls, you can't put margarine in sweet potatoes. You have to use real butter. Now here I am adding the stick or my spoon, trying to find a nice natural place to arrange the spoon. And again, I'll stain it after everything is dry. But I think that turned out really cute and that lighter yellow color looks much better than the bright yellow for my butter. Now, dolls, I know that looks like a lot of craft glaze, but trust me, it's going to work out in the end. Now, dolls, here are my lovely black-eyed peas. I love that I made the bowl really full with a little peak on the top. That looks great. And you know, I'm adding my craft glaze to give them a little shine. I really love it because it makes it look as though there's liquid or fluid in the bowl, and it gives them a nice finished shine. And you see, dolls, I added the little black eyes to all the peas that I could see, and it turned out great. They're not perfect, but they are really cute. Now, dolls, if you notice, when it comes to making food items, my objective is to make it believable. My objective has never been exact realism. I'm trying to create a feeling, an impression, an emotion. So it's a little bit different than trying to do an exact replica. From a distance, these look like black-eyed peas, but upon close inspection, you'll realize they're not. Maybe that's my miniature style, impressionism. All the little pieces clustered together to create a complete image, but individually, each piece is nothing but a speck, but all together, it's a beautiful picture, a work of art. And here, dolls, is the cake that I made. It's all iced and baked. Those were the 3 layers I cut out, the little brown layers. I will do a tutorial showing you how I make my cakes, but for the sake of time, I'm just showing you what it looked like after I iced it. And I made the icing with liquid Sculpey and some solid brown polymer clay. I just mixed it together and it turns into icing. But again, I will show you that in another video. And this is some more craft glaze added for shine. So we're moving right along, dolls. We have so much work to do to prepare for the party. That's why I'm not going into individual tutorials for each piece, but I will do some more in-depth videos regarding food. But for now, this cake is ready to be sliced. And here are our green beans. They're all dried and the spoon is in. They're all set for me to stain the handle of the spoon. But I've added a little extra craft glaze because I added additional meat. Green beans always need additional meat, dolls. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, definitely let me know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. And always look for me on Mondays and Wednesdays after 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I sure have enjoyed creating this video for you, dolls. Now remember, this is part 1 of the food preparation for the party. So be sure to stay tuned for part 2 of the food prep. And I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to all my subscribers, because without you, this celebration wouldn't even be possible. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'm so excited about all my new Dollhouse friends. This is just absolutely great. And I also want to say thank you to those of you who haven't subscribed, but you're watching, so I appreciate you as well. I have so many things in store for you, dolls, and there's so many wonderful things happening here on Little Gretchen's Workshop, and I want to share each and every one of those things with you. So make sure you stay tuned so you don't miss the next episode of Little Gretchen's Workshop. Bye-bye now, dolls.